Hello everyone. Welcome to AD Analytics YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn basic Excel function which are very much required for data cleaning. To begin with, we are having first function that is trim. This trim function removes the extra space before and after the word or in between the words so that we can easily sort out the data. If we don't apply trim function, if the data is inconsistent, then we cannot arrange the data in ascending or descending order. The syntax of the trim function is equal to trim of the particular text, that means cell reference number. Let's learn how to do it in Excel. So I'm having a data related to employee name with their ID numbers. As you can see, the data is very inconsistent. There is an extra additional gap between the name and also some data is in capital letters or block letters. In between, you can see uh, the capital letters or you can see all letters. So upper and lower case is full of mixture. Or we can't use this data for sorting in ascending or descending order. So here, let's learn how this trim function works. So trim function, as we have seen in the syntax, the formula is trim. Use the tab button. That is the best practice instead of using Shift 9 in your keyboard. So this is the best practice. If you see that the moment you type trim function, if you see it in the suggestion, the trim is as the first one, then you just hit the tab button and you'll get the open parenthesis or open round bracket in layman language. So we have opened the trim function and we have to select which cell we want to trim the date. So we will select this B2 cell where the Rahul Sharma, you can see the extra space between Rahul. So if the spaces are more, that is easy to identify. If there is only one extra space before the first letter of the first name, then it is difficult to identify. So to be on safer side, let's use trim function for all the data. So I will hit the enter button. You can see the additional space between Rahul, extra space before the name Rahul is removed. To apply it for the rest of the names, I am having almost 20 names here. I will keep the cursor on the left bottom corner and I will just double click. The moment you bring the mouse pointer at the right bottom corner, you can see the black plus symbol pointer in the mouse pointer. So you just double click and it is applicable to all the words. So this is how we can use trim function in Excel. We'll move on to the next function. So the next function is proper. As we have seen in previous data set, few words were in capital letter, few words were in small cases, and in between you can see capital. So there is so much inconsistency. This proper function will make sure that the first letter of each word is a block letter or a capital letter. So it is very much required in reporting of any of the data. So we have to bring the consistency in the data. So the syntax of this function or the formula is proper and select the relevant text. Let's learn how to do it in Excel. So the formula will be equal to proper and we have to select the trimmed data. Again, you don't select the again employee name the B column cell because if you select B column cell, it will not trim the extra space. So it's best practice to trim the data first. Then for trimmed data, you apply the proper function. So I will not select B2 here and I will select the C2 cell. So that it's already trimmed data, extra space is removed. So let's make them proper. So when I use this proper, this Rahul Sharma R and S will be the capital letter. As you can see, Rahul Sharma, it's R and S is capital letter. Same thing if you go with Priya Mehta, it's all are block letter. So if I drag this, as I said earlier, bring the mouse pointer to the right bottom corner, just double click, it will be applicable to all the values in this C cell. So this autofill will go until the result value in the column C. So this is how you can normalize the data, or we can say make the data proper, the first letter capital for both the words. Let's jump into the next function that is upper. As the word says upper, that means all letters will be block letters. If you want to convert any data into uppercase, then we can use the upper formula. Syntax is just simple upper, and you can select the relevant cell value. Let's learn how to do it in Excel. So the upper formula will be equal to upper, and either you can take trimmed data or you can take the proper data. So I will go with trimmed data as a base data for the explainer video. So I will take this C2 cell and I will hit the enter button. As you can see, Rahul Sharma, all are in block letters. So there is one hint for you. As you can see, this Rahul Sharma is overlapping on F column. You can just bring the mouse pointer between E and F column, and you can see this arrow mark. The moment you get this arrow mark, then just double left click, and automatically the column width get adjusted. To apply this formula to rest of the cell, just bring the mouse pointer in the right bottom corner and just double left click, and you can see all values are converted into upper. The lower, that is a formula which converts all the data, all the cell values or the characters into lower case. So if you want to convert, if there is inconsistency and you want to normalize the data to bring them to lower case, you can just use this syntax lower and the relevant cell value. So let's learn how to do it in Excel. We'll use the formula lower. The formula will be lower of, as I said, I will be using trimmed data as a base data. I will use C2. Again, I will auto adjust the width of the column by bringing the mouse pointer between F and G. I will just double click here. Automatically it get adjusted. Then to apply that formula for rest of the rows, I'll bring the mouse pointer to the right bottom corner and double click. So you can see all the values in this column are converted into lower case. So this very much required sometime when you want to create the email IDs. If the data is in capital letter and you want to create email IDs in small letters, though the capital letter work well with in the email ID, so this is very much relevant to create bulk email ID. Now we are going to learn the len function. This len function gives the number of characters in the cell value. So if you want to know how many characters are there in cell value, this len function will be useful. Why these characters are required? If I want 4 letters, first 5 letters, I just want to see if you know coding, then these characters are very much required. So when you dig deep in this, when you go through this journey of analytics, you will learn why this len function is relevant in the field of analysis. So this len function gives number of characters in the cell. Let's learn how to do it in Excel. So len function, as the formula itself tells, your syntax will be len of or the length of the text. I can select any of the text. So I will go with the recent one, or lower case also I can take, or I can take trim. So to maintain the consistency, I will take the trimmed data. So you can see Rahul, there is a 5 letter word, Sharma, it's a 6 letter word. You may think I should get the 11 as a character. If I hit enter, I can see I'm getting 12. That's because there is extra space between two words, Rahul space Sharma. So you can see the space for the character is 12. So I will expand this or apply this formula to rest of the rows. You can see here Sneha Rao, you can see Sneha is a 5 letter and Rao is 3 letter. It should be 8, but we are having 9 because of the space between the words. So this is very much required when you define the data for table creation in the field of coding. So the left function, the left name itself indicates the left side of your cell value. The left side of your cell value. That means my name starts with Anand, so I want to know first 3 letter, what are my first 5 letters of that cell value. Then I can use this left function. Again, it will be relevant in creation of email IDs. Again, you can use it for other aspects in the data analysis, which we are going to learn in upcoming videos. So left function, the syntax is you select the cell reference number and decide how many letters you want from the left side of the text. you'll get better understanding through Excel. So let's jump into Excel sheet. See, the formula we are discussing is left. I will type equal to left. Before that, let me just hide these columns because these are now just to cover the video length. Yeah, left of the function. So left, I want to select the text and the number of characters. If I select this trim data C2, then I want first four letters in that character. I will type 4. So I will hit the enter button. You can see Rahu. So the first four letters will be appearing. If I want 5 letters, I can make the changes here 5, or I can go with 3 also, and I can apply it for rest of the rows. So this left button will give me the left side or the first 3 letters of the cell value. So depending on the number of character you mention, accordingly you will get the result in the output cell. So this is how we can use left function. So the right function, the name itself tells, and you must have imagined by this time, that is the right side of the cell value. That means the end of that cell value, you want for last 3 letters or last 2 letters, then you can use the right function. The syntax is write, select the cell number or cell reference number, and define how many characters you want from the last word or the last character, last number of characters. So let's jump into the Excel. I will write right. So equal to right of, again I'm using trim data C2, hit enter. But before that I have to mention how many characters I want. I may want only 3 letters again, or I may go with 2 letters, two last letters of the characters in that cell. So I will use just 2. By definition, I should get now only MA as the result. If I hit enter button, you can see MA, and I can use this for rest of the rows using the double click on the right bottom corner. So this is MATA. So this is very much relevant again when you create email IDs. If you want to maintain a pattern, the first name and the initial of that particular employee, then in such scenarios, to make those email IDs unique, then we can use this left and right function of the Excel. Let's jump into something new. So the next function is concat. Concat is normally for combining the text. The definition itself tells combining two or more text strings into single text string. So if you want to combine two words, or if you want to create some email IDs or customize email IDs, then in such scenario, this is very much relevant. If you have seen in Microsoft admin console, if you whenever you want to create a bulk email ID for large number of employees, then there is a CSV input option where you can insert, or you can say insert the data with customized email IDs. So this is where this concat function will be useful. And again, if you want to frame one sentences using and, or, and other words in between the sentences, then this again concat function will be useful. So you will get better understanding when we solve it, do it in Excel. So the syntax will be concat of text1, text2. Here text1 means cell reference number, A1, B1, C1, like that, it continues. So let's learn how to do it in Excel. So here I don't have a data set for concat. Let's write something completely new. I will take the first name of the employee. Then I will add it as a gmail.com. Suppose I want to create Gmail IDs for the employees. So for this purpose, I will take the lower, whatever I have created earlier. I will unhide all the columns. Again, I will just show how did I unhide the column. I have selected, again, you can see between C and H, the columns are hidden. So I will select both the columns using the left click, then right click on this, unhide the columns, then I got lower. So I will be focusing on lower. So I will unhide this LEN left and right answers, and I will unhide this rest of the date. I will hide this rest of the date. So I got Rahul Sharma. I want first name of the employee. Then I'm going to add at gmail.com or at Microsoft.com. So let's begin with how to extract the first letter. Though the concept is concat, so I'm going to show some hidden secrets in this exercise. So Rahul, if I type the first letter, first word here as it is, so you can see Rahul. I don't have patience or time to type again Priya, Ankit as it is individual. So I'll just hit use Control E function. Control E, it is again autofill. It understands the pattern, whatever you are typing earlier in the first cell, the same pattern is copied and applied in the other cell. That is Control E function. So this is how I can extract the first name of this. If I take only, suppose I will undo this using Control Z button. Suppose I will take only RAH, first three letters of this. Then I use Control E. You can see first three letters will appear. So this autofill again Control E is very much useful to extract the data without using the formulas. So I will undo this. I will go back to my first case, that is first name of the word of the first name of the employee name. Then I will use Control E. I got the name. Then I want to add @gmail.com. So this will not allow me because @ gives something other function. To avoid this error, I will use one small trick, that is single quote. I will use a single quote and I will type @gmail.com, and you can see it allows me to write gmail.com. Then I will use this using, yes, you can use Control E here to autofill, but better you just double click here, it will reach the end of the data set. Now, how to merge? That's where my function is relevant now. So I want to join Rahul at gmail.com. So I will be using concat. So this concat function helps me to merge the two cells in one single cell. So I can use this text one will be the cell that contains the first name of the employee. Text two will be @gmail.com. I will hit enter. You can see Rahul at gmail.com. So I need not that single quote whatever I have mentioned before typing at the rate, it will not come in this cell. So that is the trick. So Rahul at gmail.com, that is my email ID. So I can use it for rest of the employee names. As you can see, @gmail.com is already created. Suppose you know the pattern of employee, how the employee ID is created, but you don't have the list of employee ID, then you can use this pattern, use this concat and get that particular pattern of the employee email IDs. And you can directly copy this, put it in the Gmail, and you can send the mail easily in bulk. So again, as I said earlier, in Microsoft Admin Console, if you want to create ID for employees in bulk, then this is the easiest way, and you can just put it in Microsoft console, and you can create Microsoft IDs for respective employees. So this is how concat will be very much essential in analysis. Yes, that's a wrap of test function. I hope you have studied various test function and it is there already in your toolkit. So if you want to know more about analytics, just subscribe my YouTube channel, click on notification. Let's learn, let's grow together. Thanks for watching.